Hi there, friends. I just thought I would make my very first ever YouTube video. This feels really weird. As we all know, I've never been comfortable in front of the camera, but here I am. Okay, so I'm here today to show you my 7-day emergency meal bin kit, and I haven't opened this for months, so it's a mess, and I really need to go through it and like put the recipes with it. And I just thought what a great time to show everybody kind of what we're doing, to give you an idea, and also to remind you that we're not perfect, right? So it's kind of a mess, it's kind of combobulated, but it's there and it's something. So you can follow along and get started on your own 7-day emergency bin. So the purpose of this bin is so that your family has 1 week worth of food ready to go if you just have a heat source, a cooking source. And like for us, we have a gas range, and so our cooktop is going to work even during power outages, winter snowstorms, etc. I'm still going to have a gas range. Now my oven isn't going to work because it requires the electricity. The cooktop does not. I do have some other backup food sources as well, like a little butane stove. It's just a single burner. It's really quick and easy. We also have a propane camp stove, also super easy to use. Most houses probably have one of those, right? Just remember, don't use that one inside. It's dangerous. The butane burner you can use inside safely with proper ventilation. Okay, but that's not the purpose today. Today, I'm here to show you what is in our bin and to organize it with you. So bear with me, because I've never done this before, and it's gonna be a little awkward trying to get through the transitions and show you the bin and my face and try to get this done. And one thing that I'm lacking is I did not make any like recipe cards when I put it together, and I know I need those, because even though in my brain I know kind of what each food is there for, we don't use packaged, processed, canned foods in our regular day-to-day, right? So in an emergency situation, when you're kind of harried, you might forget things, and I don't want to forget. So part of what I'm gonna do today is pull them apart, make sure that the pieces are kind of put together. I have some 2-gallon bags to store things in. I also brought out some quart size and some gallon size. I have a few other supplies with me, like a notebook and some Post-it notes and that kind of stuff. So I will work on all of that to kind of organize and put it together so that it's really clear during those times when we might need to use this emergency food. Now, some people use these foods on the regular, and so they would just go through every 6 to 12 months and use what's in the bin, cook the meals, and then repack it, so you always have fresh supplies. And so we don't do a lot of that kind of cooking in our house. So for us, if they're not things that we're going to use, and if they're getting close to their best by dates, we might just move them to a food bank or something. We don't believe in throwing food away ever. So we will find a way to use, repurpose, give away the supply so that they do get used. Okay. Enough on all of that. Let's see what's in this bin. Let's hope I don't drop you while I'm doing this, because it's down here on the floor by me. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you might notice this is my 100-day challenge dress. You probably haven't seen it on me in a little while, but it's still going strong. My wool dress for my 100-day challenge, and I'm wearing it today. Okay. So here's my storage bin. It's in this big tote because then if you had to leave your house, you have food to go with you for a week. Okay, so like I said, it's a mess in here. So bear with me. And I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to like kind of pull stuff out on the table and take a look. So what is this? We got some miscellaneous things that I'd added because when I put it together, I knew I was missing a few things like lunch type items, and then they just got thrown on top. Okay, so like we're gluten free, so you can't just do top ramen, but I found these guys. Okay, so we'll go through all that. There's a few things that got thrown in here that aren't part of my food bin, like our emergency radio, a few other supplies. We'll talk about all that stuff in another video because this one really is about food. Okay, lights. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, because this is absolute chaos and I'm not quite sure how to hold on to this and do it all, is to pull things out on the table, and then we will start talking about what the meals are and how it all works in here. And this, you guys are probably familiar with these big black totes. This is just one of those Costco bins. It's pretty large, so it holds quite a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna sit you down here and I'm gonna start pulling stuff out. So I picked up these because I have young children, and these are a chocolate drink, but they're also a protein powder, so it works like a hot chocolate or a chocolate milk protein powder, and they were relatively clean, whole protein, whey, coconut oil. It does have corn syrup in it. I didn't realize that, guys. So maybe they're not as clean as I thought. But again, we probably wouldn't use these except in emergency because we use a much cleaner chocolate product. Travel mugs in here, which I actually have a second bin of supplies and other items. But again, like I said, I'm not totally as organized as I should be, which is why we do this. I have a little blend jet, which can be powered with, you know, a little battery pack that stores charge. It's electrolytes. So here's one, because you need things to drink. Because water's boring or water might taste bad after you've filtered it, treated it, okay? So some various little clean. So I don't use anything with dyes, but my husband does. So there's a few of those in there. There's a few of these like tea packets because my 19-year-old daughter enjoys those. And then, you know, I've got some instant coffee, the Via type, even a little syrup, and then several little honeys because at least we can have a more natural local sweetener if we need it. Some snacks, you know, some little individual nut snacks. So this I know goes with one of the meal things. It's just a small packet. And so I put them in other baggies, even though I hate plastic. Y'all know I don't like plastic in our lives. But for this kind of case, it's important. I don't want this to get squished and get pressed open and then we have cheese sauce everywhere. Yuck. Okay, we have a few more sauces here. So I've got, these are a white cheddar. This one is a gravy mix. Again, they're in the little baggies. Now, for breakfast, I have some of these gluten-free muffin mixes. And the reason why I have these is because all you're supposed to add to them is half a cup of milk. And so if I have a heat source, I can make these. I can either do it like stovetop with my Dutch oven to actually make little muffins. I can make like a little cake that way, or I could even do it like hot cakes, pancake style. So these could be consumed even with minimal access to a cooking, you know, cooking source and any water. So a few of those for like breakfast. We have some different like freeze-dried fruits here for snacking because the kids really enjoy them. They feel like a treat, but really they're just crispy fruit. So I don't feel so bad about them having those. I also have like some snack bars. These are Scout. The reason why it's these ones is because we have some significant health needs here. And I probably should have started off with that for those that don't know us. Significant health needs, really restrictive diets in our house. So I have to be careful. Our whole kit is gluten-free. There are some dairy-free options. There's some low-carb options, you know, for diabetics or if you need to be low-carb, keto, carnivore. Like I eat mostly carnivore because that's how I feel best for all my autoimmune conditions. That's a little bit harder to prep, but I do have lots of good ideas. And in a future video, I'll share more about prepping, not just for 7 days, but long-term when you have additional health needs. I have some little packets of like keto cereal. The kids like to snack on these. And again, like I said, the gluten-free version of like a top ramen for like a lunch type of thing. I just knocked it all over. Okay, well that was fun. I just totally lost the entire thing, toppled over on me. Video down, camera down, lights down. This is what happens when you don't know what you're doing. Okay, thank goodness we have editing. Hopefully I'll figure out the editing so you don't have to all see that. Okay, so some more lunch stuff. I've got some gluten-free instant, you know, mac and cheese cups. The kids really enjoy those. Oh, I do have some silverware in here as well. But again, I should have 2 bins with like supplies and stuff. I have to figure out how I want to organize it to make sense. Okay, more of the mac and cheese. We have some different gluten-free crackers. These are because I can't store bread, right? But what if we want to do like nut butter and jelly crackers or like a tuna fish salad or something. Breakfast some instant oatmeals that are a gluten-free version. They have some extra things in them. Instant rice packets. Now, probably not gonna have a microwave, right, if you don't have power, but we don't like to use a microwave anyway. You could open these and just heat them in the pan. Probably could set them in like a pan of, like you're steaming it, like your boiling water pan with your steamer basket. Easy peasy. A jar of like salt, lime, lemon, things that we might want, you know, for flavoring or to add to recipes. Some nuts. Squeeze peanut butter, because it's so much easier when you're in like a not usual situation. You don't even need a knife, you can just spray it on. Some bone broth. Asian noodles. More noodles. More noodles. Now I was pondering switching out this basmati rice for like minute rice, right? Ready to go, because those are so easy to cook. And if you're in a situation where you need to conserve water and like cooking fuel, that would make sense, right? To have minute rice. However, it's not as nutritious, so I just haven't. This is an organic basmati rice. It's cleaner. And really, rice isn't that hard to cook, and you can bring it to a boil on the stovetop, on your gas burner, whatever, and then all you have to do is put the lid on and let it absorb it all, you know, and just wait till it's done. So it's kind of a little bit of passive cooking. If you don't know how to make rice on your stovetop, you should learn. It's easy. Okay, now let's look at protein sources. We have a few of these, like chicken in little tear pouches. So I gotta tell you, I don't like tuna fish. Our family's not huge tuna fish fans. We will eat chicken, and I think there is a little bit of tuna fish in here because my husband would eat it like if he had to, right? But some of us, no thank you. This is in every grandma's war pantry, right? Corned beef and Spam. Not our favorite, not something that we use in our household on a regular. But if there was an emergency, we would not hesitate to open these for protein sources and enjoy them. And they last a long time. We have some evaporated milk because notice everything's getting blurry. It's hard to see. Don't know what that's about there. Oh, that's better. Okay, evaporated milk, because if you're gonna do cereal or cooking or whatever that calls for milk or cream, it really does help. Now, we are a raw milk family. We are not a canned evaporated pasteurized milk family, but in an emergency, we're not gonna die from using this for a few days, and it's okay, right? So we have some of that in our store. You guys, this is so much stuff. I don't even know. And part of me says, maybe I shouldn't be pulling it out like this and saying, oh, look at all these things. Maybe we should just start compiling the meals. So at some point we might jump ahead and do that, because this feels really like a lot of stuff. Okay, I'm gonna just bring you forward and show you some of this other stuff that's in our bin here, now that we're kind of down a bit. Okay, so we have some shelf-stable milk for actually like the cereals, right? There's a box of gluten-free, all these branded square cereals, some yellow rice for a change of things. Then we put in some things like, we need some cooking fats, right? So we've got coconut oil, we've got some olive oil. We do have like cinnamon, so we could do cinnamon rice for a breakfast, like a porridge or something. Some dye-free sprinkles just to make life more fun, because if you're in an emergency situation, the kids will enjoy that. There is, like I said, some tuna in here, even though we're not tuna fans. More instant coffee, because this mama needs her coffee. We have gluten-free mac and cheeses. We've got some shredded hash browns. These are the dry kind. You just hydrate these by adding hot water, let them sit for like 10-12 minutes, and then you can cook them up, and they're really good. And they're shelf stable forever. Okay, and then we have like, okay, some roast beef and some chicken. We have a couple of each of those in here. We have some Tabasco sauce because some people like it hot. Not me, I'm a wimp. Okay, so we also have like a thing of Parmesan cheese for the pasta. And some little real bacon bits for flavor. So what I'm gonna do now, friends, this is soy sauce gluten-free tamari, if you can see, and little jelly packets and some sriracha packets and stuff. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is we're going to take a look at this in meal format now. Like, what makes the meal? How do we make this work as meals? So we know what we're looking at actually in here and assess if we need to get any new supplies. So that's what's up next. Okay, friends, now let's put these meals together into bags. I like to use these 2-gallon storage bags because they got lots of room, but I do have some gallon size and some quart size here. I'm not brand loyal. These are just what I found. I think I ordered them on Amazon. That box is empty, but thankfully I have some more. Okay, so I'm gonna start with dinners. I have 7 dinners, and now at home in our family right now, there are 6 people. However, little Elizabeth, as most of you know, has a feeding tube. And so she has a whole different supply process. So she is eating very small amounts of food orally now. So we would definitely, I don't know why I keep doing this. I keep touching my face. Sorry, guys. So, you know, I'm mostly planning for 5 people, but knowing that she might eat a little bit. And then with the older my 2 adult daughters that live at home, they're 19 and 21, you know, their appetite could vary, right? It might be a day where they barely eat anything. It might be a day where they want to eat a little bit more. And in emergency situations where you're without power, we just don't really know like what we're going to be doing physically. You might need a little more calories. So I'm trying to make the meals a solid 6 people, okay, just for feedback on that. Our first meal we're gonna do is fried rice. And I'm going, I don't know if I need this big of a bag. This one probably fits in a quart or gallon size. So I'm gonna grab one of those. I have them all right here, so bear with me. I don't wanna overuse the bag size because the 2-gallon bags are a little more expensive. So for fried rice, I have a bag of that basmati rice, or you could put in a box of minute rice, would work as well. I've got a can of chicken. I have a can of carrots. Now I thought about doing mixed vegetables. We're not huge fans of them. I do have those in another meal, but if you like the mixed vegetables, you could certainly put in a can of that instead of the carrots, or in addition to, you know, whatever your family is gonna like. We have some soy sauce packets, which I did have those in that jar separate, but maybe we want them all together in your meal here. And a little packet of sriracha, so that if you want to make it a little spicier, you can. That one's pretty straightforward and easy. I ran out of note cards, and so I just pulled out some Post-it notes to kind of label. And I'm gonna have to figure out this whole getting you guys on where it's a little clearer. Like, that's pretty hard to see. And even if I come in, wait, there we go, fried rice. So for now, I'm just gonna stick those in there. That's pretty self-explanatory, right? Now I could put in some extra water if I wanted to, like bottled waters, to make it ready to go, but we have really good water storage ready to go. So I would just have one of those big jugs in our kitchen. I don't know what's going on with my voice, sorry guys. And then I would use from that. I don't need to put plastic bottled waters in here. I don't really enjoy plastic or having water that sits in it for a long time. So our second Asian-inspired meal, and I say inspired because, let's be real, these are not authentic because we're kind of wimpy eaters around here, and we have to be gluten-free so things get a little more wild. So I've got some rice noodles. It says they're pho noodles, but you know, we're good with them, like whatever. And this is gonna make a stir-fry type, so kind of like the fried rice, except with noodles. I do have a can of mixed vegetables for this one. I have another can of chicken. And then we have some pineapple chunks, which we are not sweet and savory together family. We don't like that, but we would serve this on the side. The kids would definitely enjoy eating pineapple. I'm not going to mix it into the dish. Some people would love that, right? Throw it in there, use the pineapple juice, and get a little bit of that sweet savory taste together. Again, I have some soy sauce and a sriracha packet. And just a little Post-it note that says this is for a stir fry, so we know where we're at. Nice. This is a 2-gallon bag. A little extra room, but that's okay. All right, and then I'm thinking So I bought this giant box on Amazon of gallon bags. We try not to use plastic in our house, but I've not been able to replace the Ziploc bags completely unless we wanted to go to those, what are they called? Silicone, like the reusable bags. And to me, that just doesn't make sense because it's still a type of plastic. It's still not going to biodegrade. Supposedly, they're so usable forever, but at some point you still have to dispose of them and they're a lot thicker and I just don't enjoy that. So we're working on storing as much in glass as we can, but for things like this or when we're putting them in the freezer, we're still using some bags. Okay, so that was my little totally off track. Okay. The next meal is roast beef gravy and mashed potatoes. And so I can't eat potatoes. That's one of my many food issues. So in this case, I would just reserve some rice from one of the other things or pull out one of the packets. And if I was going to have a carbohydrate with it, I would just opt for the rice. Since I eat mostly carnivore, I might just skip that carb altogether and just eat the meat. So for the main dish, I have 2 cans of the roast beef. Just because I want to make sure it's plenty hearty, right? Or if like I needed to eat it and I can't eat the potatoes, I might want to eat more of the meat. I have a can of corn for the side, which I'm not, don't get me on my tangent about corn. It is so unhealthy, but my husband loves it, so we rarely have it in our house. We have some instant mashers. These are the best tasting ones that I can find out there without a bunch of additives. It's just potatoes, butter, and some sea salt. We put a can of evaporated milk to make them with so that they're creamy. And then I have this packet of beef gravy, Knorr, and this is non-dairy, and they are labeled gluten-free, which is really important in making these choices for shelf stability, as we also need to make sure that they're gluten-free. So that's why we opted for that one. And then again, I just have a little roast beef gravy on mashers on a Post-it note. I'm going to put in the front. And here is that ready to go meal bag. All right, next up we have a rice and bean bowl. Now, being a gluten-free family and having 7 children, rice and bean bowls were something we made often when all the kids were at home. We would cook a big pot of rice, we would make beans, and then we would have proteins, toppings, you know, whatever was in the fridge, whatever was left over protein-wise, and it was a build your own. And somebody was always happy with, not somebody, everybody was always happy with the meal because they could pick and choose whatever they wanted to put on it. Now, this isn't quite so open for interpretation because it's an emergency kit. Same concept, though. For this, I'm going to go with the yellow rice, just for a variety. It was hard to find yellow rice that does not have yellow dye added. Why? Turmeric is yellow, so why would you add yellow dye? But a lot of them do. It still has some additives I don't love, but it's not terrible. So anyway, I got some extras. It says like 2.5 servings per little packet, but as we know, sometimes people like to eat a lot of rice. So I went ahead and got 4 of those. And this one does not have meat. Now I could throw in a can of chicken or a can of beef or a can of, let's see, what do I have? Roast beef or like ground beef. I don't think I'm going to because there is quite a bit. I might add some chicken. But I have a can of beans. I have a little can of sliced olives. For a side, we just have some chunky mixed fruit. And then we have a salsa. And then we have that little packet of Velveeta cheese sauce we saw earlier. This is just because who doesn't love cheese? And while this is Velveeta, which is not nutritious, it could add a little bit of flavor. And again, when you're in a short-term emergency situation, we're not looking for perfection with the organic and the clean, even though that's how we typically eat. Got my Post-it note, my rice and beans. Okay, so here we go. Rice and bean meal in a bag. So that's our 4th dinner. For our 5th dinner, this one's really simple. This one just uses our stew, already made, labeled gluten-free armor beef stew here. And so it says these are 2 servings a can. I put 3 of them in. Okay. And then we did a pack of mashers because then you can just put it over the mashers for more substance. Those people. Some evaporated milk again to make the mashers with. And some extra carrots on the side. I don't know, you can do whatever vegetable you want. But that's what I have here, so that's what it is. Got a little label in there. And then we have our bag of stew and mashed potatoes. That's our 5th meal. So we need 2 more. And for those, I have a gluten-free spaghetti. And this actually wasn't too hard to put together because we've just got gluten-free pasta. This is from Aldi. It's a rotini, I think, organic brown rice and quinoa. Oh, it's fusilli, sorry. Fusilli. I'm probably not saying that right. We got our organic pasta sauce. So this one's actually a little bit cleaner. We actually have some organic ingredients in it. But then we're going to put in some regular green beans on the side. And I ordered some Keystone ground beef. This says it has about 7 2-ounce servings per container. Who eats 2 ounces of ground beef? But in a spaghetti, that's fine. 1 can will be fine. And I do have this little shaker of Parmesan cheese. I actually found this at the Dollar Tree. It's just the powdered Parmesan cheese. I might look for a better version. I would prefer to have like real shaved Parmesan cheese, but it's hard to get that shelf stable. Okay. And again, my little spaghetti Post-it note. Now, if any of these actually needed a recipe, I would throw that in there, but these are really straightforward meals, right? They're kind of open, dump, cook, like not too hard. And I have the cooking fats on the side because they don't just go with 1 meal, they go with the whole week. So I have, you know, the olive oil and the coconut oil and things on the side. And I'm not gonna put those in these bags. And then our last meal is a chicken Alfredo. Again, made with a gluten-free pasta. And so when I put this together, I kind of just shopped our pantry. So hang on, guys. I keep doing this with my hair because I don't wear my hair down. That's not normal because it's always in my way. So as I'm talking, it's like going into my face and I keep like moving it because it's making me nutty. Okay, so I shopped our pantry when I had put this together initially. So we have a variety of like pastas. Now this is a ranzani, gluten-free penne pasta. So we're gonna use this to make like a Alfredo, except it's not really, it's just a cheesy sauce. Chicken. We have a can of evaporated milk for mixing the sauce up. Some peas. Oh, we do not like peas, but my husband does, so they're in here. And I might add something else so that there would be an option, you know, an alternate for the kids. Like white cheddar sauce packet. So it's not really Alfredo because this isn't made with Parmesan, but that's okay. And then we have our Post-it note. Seal this up. And here is our 7th dinner in a bag. So then all of these go down to our tote box here. And then we would work on our next meals, which are going to be we have breakfast and lunches still, and then we have some snacks and other things to, you know, mix in to kind of round out, right? Now, I know some moms, we're all busy, you know, everybody's crazy busy. Some moms just keep these in their pantry, and if they have like a rush night or they need the husband or one of the older children to cook, they just have them pull out one of the bags and just make it, and then just restock it. You know, make sure you always keep your kit stocked. And that's a great way to be rotating and to know you have a simple meal. Also, if you're dropping off a meal for somebody in need, this is an easy way too. You don't have to worry about anything with refrigeration or stability. You can just leave it on their porch, couple meals for them, whatever. Maybe it's a family in need that's suffering hard times and can't afford their groceries, and they get the random food box of food and they just don't really know what to do with it. This is put together. It makes it a lot easier to understand, like, hey, here's a meal. or, you know, somebody has a new baby or whatever and you just want to help lighten up their load, those off. So I'm gonna bring this over and show you in the tote. Now this tote gets pretty full for me pretty quick. But there we have the meals. All 7 dinners are in the bottom of the tote. Next, we're gonna look at lunches, I think. So hang on for that. Okay, friends, so for lunches, we're gonna have a slightly different take of this. And the reasoning is we don't typically eat like a big full meal midday. Now, let's say that we're doing so much physical work because it's an emergency situation that we're hungry midday and we want to have the larger meal. We could certainly make the dinner in that midday time, and that used to be quite common, and I think in other cultures it still is, and then do the lighter meal later in the day. You have the flexibility to do it however you'd like to, but we're making our lunches a little bit more like snacky. So I was focused more on having a number of servings for 5 to 6 people for 7 days was more of my focus versus like a full meal. So what I'm gonna do is kind of group them together for lunches in what makes sense. So for example, some of the lunches we have, which I kind of briefly touched on, but we have rice with a few different gluten-free soup options. You could make the rice and top it with some soup, almost like a gravy rice. We have a tomato, a lentil, a split pea. These are all gluten-free from Progresso. I got them on a sale, so that's what we have, right? So that would easily do 6 lunch servings between the bag of rice and half a can of soup per person, right? So that's plenty. Another option we have is, you know, the top ramen type, and then like the macaroni and cheese type for the little kids because they prefer that. I also threw in a couple of things, some different jerky packets, because for people like me who have to stay low carb, I should not eat pasta, you know, rice noodles or macaroni and cheese for lunch. But I could certainly eat some meat, or if I did have a little bit of noodles, maybe I have half of that with some meat to make it a little bit better for my blood sugar impact so that I don't make myself sick in an emergency situation, because that's the last thing you need, is to be causing health issues. Now, I don't have diabetes, but I would if I didn't eat this the way that I do, because my blood sugar is very rocky. And I know this because I monitor it constantly to make sure that I'm not reaching the point of actually developing diabetes, because my goal is to avoid that, keep myself healthy by the way that I'm eating and the way I'm living my life. Okay, that was a whole side note. Another little lunch option for 2 people is some of these roasted garlic Alfredo rice. It's just a little, it says like 2 serving packet. It's labeled gluten-free. And then maybe like a can of, this is a corned beef. You could dice it up and fry it, mix it into the rice, and then you have a meal, or just put it on top. Another option is chicken or tuna salad. So we've got, you know, several varieties here. These are the chickens. This is the tuna. There is a squeezy of a mayonnaise, which is just, I wanted the small container because that was important to fit in my tote. So I had to deal with just the store brand. It's not high quality, but again, it's 1 week, people. A couple of different crackers, you know, that you could have with those. You also, if you had extra rice, you know, you could put it on that. You could do it as like a gravy type, you know, topping like people used to do. And then for the kiddos, on the crackers, we have the peanut butter and an Aldi version of Nutella, hazelnut spread. Smaller containers, of course, to fit in the storage bag. And then I do have just a couple boxes of Annie's gluten-free mac and cheese that can be made up as a family that would feed everybody from that. So that's our lunch take. I'm gonna just put these together in a couple of bags so we know, hey, these are lunch foods, and we're not wondering, what was I supposed to do with these? How do they go together? I put the cans on first because they're kind of heavy. And then I'll put a list in here, which I was terrible about doing before. Put a list in here of what goes together, like meal ideas, how you would use these. Because sometimes in the moment, you know, we kind of forget what our plan was. And then we're trying to figure out what are these random things? Like, what are we going to use them for? How are we going to make a meal out of these random things, right? Okay, so there's one of our lunch bags. It's gonna take two so that I can get it all together. I was debating putting the mayonnaise in the bag, but I think I actually am because I'm thinking the other meals, none of them needed a mayonnaise with them. And, you know, we would know where to find it in the mixed lunch bags if we did need it for something. So I'll stick that in here. Let's see if we can make this all work and just do that. I might leak it a third. Sorry, that's really noisy. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the mac and cheese cups out because they would just take up way too much space and then it needs to be in a bag. So we have one lunch bag here, another lunch bag here. And I promise, I will make a list to put in these of what goes with what so that later on we're not questioning, how did we come up with these food items together? So these are gonna go to our bin. And it might take some reorganizing a couple times to fit everything in the bin. But I'm here for that. It's okay. Okay, so then our last stop is breakfast. And breakfasts are also pretty simple and straightforward. And I'm just gonna go through what I have here and then determine if we feel like we need to add anything else. I feel like we probably have enough, but let's take a look and see. Again, we want 7 days of breakfast for 5 to 6 people. So I have 3 blueberry muffin kits. Now, these say that they make 6 muffins, but that 2 is a serving. So if you think if you're pretty hungry, that's probably true. So we would probably say we would use 2. So we probably would make them all 3 at once and then save the extras for snack, okay? So we're gonna call that 1. Our pancake mix, it's a protein pancake mix, so it's a little bit higher protein. We would just make up this whole thing. It does say there's 6 servings per container. We'd make it all up. So that's our second breakfast. For our third breakfast, I have a kitty joining me. They don't belong up here. Our third breakfast, we're gonna do the rehydrated hash browns, okay? So I have 3 of them because I remember I take these on hotel trips sometimes when we travel, and I take a waffle iron and I'll take some of these and then you can rehydrate them easily, and then I would cook them in our waffle iron. And then I would just put some butter down, you know, let it sizzle, put these in and get them all crispy, and it's delicious. But I remember my kids really like them, and even though it says there's 7 servings in one of these boxes, I kid you not, no. Like 1 person or 2 people are gonna eat a box if you like hash browns. So I went ahead and put 3 in, which it says, it lies. It says there's 21 servings in 3 boxes. I don't know anybody that would only eat the 1 little serving unless you count potatoes like me. And then some Spam, classic American Spam. So this I would just dice up and fry up, and then I'd mix it with the hash browns, or on top, or possibly, I have a couple of country gravy packets that are a gluten-free packet also. This is just white gravy. And put it with the Spam and do a hash brown with gravy. And that's a pretty hearty meal that's gonna get people through their day. So that's our third breakfast. Then we have a box of cereal, which, you know, it says it has 9 servings of 1.5 cups. So this is actually a good quantity of cereal serving. So I think that probably would do a day and a half if everybody in our house had cereal. Now, we don't eat cereal for breakfast because we know that it's a really big blood sugar hit for anybody, and that starting your day with just all the sugar is not a great idea. It's much better to start with a hearty protein. And so if we're home, we always have eggs on hand, because we have our own chickens and they sit on our counter. We're not worried about refrigeration. So as long as we're in our house, that would go with whatever we're having for breakfast, that we would always have the hearty eggs for breakfast. But this is, again, we don't have a refrigerator. We have to leave our house. It's a real big emergency, something we know even if the refrigerator is out and everything goes bad, we have this food for a week. So some of the milks, and so these are lactate milks because we do have lactose issues in our house. And part of it, we do raw milk straight from the farm. We go to our Amish friends and get milk from their cow, and we don't have any issues with that because it's real milk. If we're gonna have store-bought milk, the lactose is a big deal because all of the enzymes and the natural things, the components in the milk that let your body digest it is killed in pasteurized milk. So that is why those are lactate. Okay, so that gives us 1, 2, 3, look at me dipping down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? No, 4. That gives us a solid 4 breakfasts. And I'm thinking we might need to go shop the pantry. Although we do have the bag of oatmeal. So we got a bunch of oatmeals here. And this is easily 2 or 3 breakfasts here. I could count them, but there's a lot in there. So, oh, and I forgot I have this one over here too. So we have the rice. So these were for a breakfast plan. And these are to make a like a cinnamon rice, right? So there's 6 of them here. So this is 2 more breakfasts because nobody needs a whole packet. That's easily 2 servings per packet. And we would add collagen for protein if we need shelf stability. I'm going to throw in a can of collagen powder. If we don't, then we would just have eggs, or I would cook the eggs into the rice for the protein and make it more like a rice pudding. Okay, so that gives us our breakfast, and then we have some snacks as well to include, which we'll bag up separate. The breakfast, I'm thinking, because like I got distracted and forgot that I had the sticky rice here, and I was like, whoa, I'm missing breakfast. So I think that it is important that I kind of bag them and that I put a list with them of what we have. Obviously, some are straightforward, right? We know cereal's pretty basic. I don't need to know what goes with it. So I'm going to put the rices, and we would just use some of this shelf-stable milk. I'm not going to put it in the bag, but to make it like a creamy rice in there. And I think what I'll do, the pancakes are also pretty, you know, we know, right? What goes, pancakes are just alone. I have the milk to mix them up with. We have eggs, but you can make them without egg. It says to use egg and oil or melted butter and milk. But if you have to, if you don't have egg, you can skip that. Like I said, we always have egg. So we would certainly do that. And then we have the milk, and we have the coconut oil and the olive oil in our baking supplies down here. And then we have the honey. We have the peanut butter and the Nutella that were in the lunch gear, and then we have some jelly packets in here. So any of those could be used to top the pancakes, okay? So it's not just some boring, flavorless meal. Although pancakes taste pretty good, right, by themselves. So maybe you don't even need that. Then we have our hash brown meal. Ooh, maybe I can't put these in a small, I was thinking a gallon bag, but there's 3 things of potatoes, because remember what I said, everybody likes them. So we're going to put them in a bigger bag too. So, and to me, it's a big deal to make sure that we have enough food, right? Now, if you have a power outage, you have an emergency, and you're at home, chances are you have some more things in your pantry that you can supplement with. So this is just that really convenient factor of just knowing exactly what you have. It becomes a bigger deal if you have to grab those totes and leave your house. And that's why I have the food bin, and then I have a separate bin of supplies and things that we could get by if we had to leave our house. So let's say that you're in an area where there's hurricanes or tornadoes, or I guess tornadoes you don't evacuate for. Let's say a hurricane that you have to evacuate for, or a wildfire area, which we lived in Oregon and wildfires were a real thing there. Then you could just grab these totes and throw them in your vehicle, and you would know that you at least have a week's worth of supplies with you, okay? So that's the whole point of putting the entire day together into a tote. If you're at home and you just have a power outage that lasts a long time, you're not gonna only have to rely on these. You're gonna have your other pantry, right? But this is just that extra peace of mind, that extra security when you know exactly what you have available. So, that's going to conclude my first, probably way too long video. And what I want to know from all of you is, what are you doing to be prepared for emergencies? The short-term ones, that couple of days of a power outage, or like some of our friends in Oregon just had 10 to 14 days, I think, with no power because of an ice storm. So what are you doing to be prepared for those emergencies, whether it's a short emergency, a short power outage, a storm, or whether it's a really big emergency, one of those situations when maybe our entire power grid is gone for an extended length of time. What are you doing to prepare? Share in the comments. And since this is my first video, I would love it if you could like and share it with others so that you can help support us getting going on this, and we can get this information out just to share with everybody. Because I know you all ask me all the time, what are you doing and how do you do this? And give me some tips. So here I am sharing with you. Okay, friends, here's our completed box. The snacks are back on top. Forgot to mention some dried fruits and things that the kids really enjoy, right? And we can have those on those rice for breakfast or various things. So it barely fits in this tote. So I may have to do a little more organizing as I put the lid back on. So we'll see when we get there. That's fine. But that's all I have for you today. I've gone on much too long. And I just wanted to say thank you for being here, friends. Blessings upon your day, and stay prepared.